All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. And this is going to be the second part of the ductwork installation. I'm going to just go over the tools that you need to do this, and it's real basic. So we'll just start out. You just need your tin snips. I always have a right and a left tin snip. That's pretty much all I use. I use Midwest tin snips. They're from Menards. They work good for me. So if you're building a post frame building, you're going to have these anyway, so not a big deal. Another tool that comes in really handy is this hole cutter. I think this is a Malco. Yeah, this is a Malco hole cutter, and you've seen me use this. This thing is really nice for when you're cutting round holes in your main trunks. To put takeoffs on for round duct. It's not necessary, and I'll show you in this show how to cut a nice hole without this, but this definitely comes in handy, and it's not that expensive. I think I don't even think they're 30 bucks, right around there. But this is a Malco hole cutter. It's adjustable all the way up to 12 1/8 inches. So if you don't have one of those, and you're probably going to need this anyway. This is a step bit, and this is so you can drill holes and cut stuff out. So I can drill a hole with this step bit, then use my snips to cut out a circle or a square or whatever the case may be. So this is definitely a must when you're doing tin work, to have a couple of these step bits on hand. I have these crimpers. And this is for round duct, and it's basically, if you look at a piece of round duct work, a 5-foot piece they usually come in, you see that one end is crimped so it can slide inside the other. But if you're custom making a piece or you need to do that, what these do is they crimp the end, and it's just as simple as going around the outside, and it shrinks the size of this end just enough that it can go inside the next piece of ductwork. So these are super handy to have. There are ways to do it without these, but this is definitely the easy way to do it. And the last thing I have is some benders here. I have this hand bender, which you saw me use this when I was putting tin on the outside of the house, or the metal on the outside of the house. Bending some trim with these. It's got little notches on the end, 1/4-inch notches, so you can do 1/4-inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and then 1.25 inches. And then the other two benders I have, they're just different lengths. They're basically the same thing. But it's got a slot in the side here, and then it's preset for 1-inch bend over. So it's got 1 inch on this side and then a 3/8 on this side. And this is so you can make custom bends, or if you cut a piece of square duct, you can do the fold over for the C cleat to go on. So you can do that with these, and this is the same thing, it's just a lot longer, so you can bend a lot longer piece. So it's 1 inch on one side and 3/8 on the other. So that is it, guys. Those are the basic tools that I use to deal with the ductwork. Alright guys, now that we got the main trunks done, right here I'm putting the round duct together, and they basically just snap together. But after I get them snapped together, I go ahead and tape the seams. Even though they say that they are airtight, I still tape them. Once I get that done, it's a matter of just putting the 5-foot sections up, putting the support up, and what I do is I use a 2x4. I go between the bottom flange of the I-joist and toe screw it in, and then my duct will rest on that. Once I slide the piece in, I go ahead and put 2 screws to hold them together, and then I tape the joint where they fit together. And then text on my phone, obviously, a little bit. But once this run's done, it's going to dead end into a register box, which we'll custom make, and I'll go ahead and take you through how to make that custom register box right now. See, I got my holes cut, so now I got to build a box in here, and then there will be a diverter that will come up and angle up, so half of the air will get forced up through that vent and half of it will come this way. So first thing is we're going to make this back piece, and I take this dimension here where the piece of metal is going to sit, and I add an inch for both sides so I can do an inch bend over. So I'll do an inch bend over on the top and bottom and then on each side. That way when I put my other pieces in, I can screw through both of them and attach them. Alright, so we got to make one 11.5 by 15.5. Now that we got it cut to size, we're going to do a 1-inch fold up on both sides. That gives it rigidity, and then it also gives you a place to screw it into the eye joist. So before we bend it up, make 1-inch marks everywhere on all the corners. Don't cut straight in. Give yourself a little angle. That'll help you when you're bending it. And don't worry about it. You'll have other metal overlapping it, and you'll also be able to cover any little cracks with tape. So just going to cut those out all at a little bit of an angle. Don't eat in. And when you make those little angled cuts, it really doesn't matter which you bend up first. I usually do the long sides. I use this Mass Force bender. It's got a 1-inch bend and a 3/8 bend. So we're just going to stick that all the way in there. Bend it up at 90. Stick the other one in there, other side. Bend that up at 90. And then do the two ends. And you'll see how I'm able to get it at a 90 since I cut those out at an angle. Giving that some rigidity, and I got my bend ups. Now what I got to do is cut a hole in here for where the supply duct comes into it. So I'll cut a hole, and then we'll put the starter collar on, which I think is going to center this thing in here. Another way you can do it, if you don't have a tool, is just use a step bit. Start a hole. And then just, you can get your snip in there, and it actually comes out pretty easy. A little more effort, but same result. And then I'll show you, this is another type of starter collar. They're out of the ones I like. But the thing that's bad about these is it's got a nice big lip, but when you stick this all the way through and you bend that over, it leaves too much play. So what I do with these, I take every third tab bend it over like this, and then I put it through. Push it down, bend my tabs over. You can see that's good and tight in there now. And then I'll tape, since I got this out, I'll tape it from the inside. Taped up, won't have any air leaks there. Now I can go up there and put this piece on, and then I can build the rest of my box. Alright, I got my end piece fastened in. So now what I'm going to do, I make little blocks right here just to make this a little bit more solid. I put them down here and in here, and then I'll make my top piece and my side pieces right here, and I'm just going to make it so it fits from here to here and from there all the way to the end. So it's 13.5 by 17.5. So I just need a flat piece, 13.5 by 17.5. I'll hold it up there, mark my hole, and then we'll cut that out. Alright, so all I did was hold this up there, marked where the register is going to be on the top, because this is the top pan of the box. So now I'm going to cut this out, but I'm going to leave like 1.5 inches, one for the height of the plywood, and then enough to fold it over the top. And you'll see that once we get to that point. I slid this one in there. It's just going to sit there for right now. It goes up through. I'll show you the top. And this is why I leave it long, is so I can fold it up and then kind of over. And once I get this box completely done, I'll actually run a screw down through here, and then my hardwood floor or whatever you choose will run right over the top of this. Alright, so you can kind of see how this is coming together now. Now we're going to build our two sides, and I'm going to put fold overs on those, so that'll help hold that up when I screw it in. And then we'll tape all those seams on the inside, and then we'll put our bottom pan in. Got the side pieces in. As you can see, I screwed them right here, here, and here. So this holds all that up tight. Holds that back. So now it's completely encapsulated with metal except for the bottom, so I'm going to put that in. Alright, we're all finished, taped up, screwed in. As you can see, it's all boxed in. So I'll have a vent here and a vent up top. And how I'm going to divert that is I'm going to make a louver in here. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that right now. So this top side, just going to get a slight bend, and then this little 1/2 inch piece here is going to get bent over, just give this end rigidity. So I'll hammer that out. And then the last step is to bend these sides up so I have something to screw it. Also gives it rigidity and it gives me something to screw it into the side with. So you can see I folded a 1/2 inch over on the bottom to stiffen that. 1 inch bend ups on the side. And then I gave this a little bend because it's going to sit in there. The hardest part is getting it in there, so I'm going to have to put you guys down to get it in there and turn. See, there's the end of that there. It's pretty stiff. I got it screwed in here and here. There. And you can see how it cuts half of it. And then there's also one here that we got done. And basically what I did is I just started here at the end of the main trunks, which are right on the other side of this wall. And I got a double wall stack going up there to a big return. This one comes through and pops out here for the mudroom. This one comes through, goes all the way out there to the end. And then this one here is a pass-through. So here's a pass-through box that I make. And I make this the same way. The only difference is I put a 1/2 inch piece of plywood on the bottom. So when I put my vent up, I can screw my vent into the plywood so it's nice and solid. And that still is lined with steel. And the only difference here is that piece of plywood, and then at both ends you'd have to put a takeoff so you can continue your duct. And the reason it continues is because it comes out here and then pops out in the kitchen. So as far as these end boots go, because they run back and forth this way, I'm going to have the bottom of the eye joists to be able to screw my vent into. And I always like to have it where I can screw the vent into wood, and that's why I make those pass-through boxes that I showed you. And then there's another vent here in the kitchen. Got one here in the pantry. And here's another one that comes through. Got a pass-through box there that I made. And then it comes down here and pops out. And then there will be, I haven't got this done yet, but there will be a big return right here. So if you're asking yourself why I would do these pass-through boxes instead of run a separate pipe, it's because if you start looking at the ceiling, you can see how full it is between all these joists. The upstairs bedrooms will all have a separate system, and that will be the next part of the HVAC. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. I don't have to do that before the drywall, and the reason being is because I have a separate utility room that they're not drywalling. I'm taking care of that with some plywood, and then I'll have access in the attic before I blow in my insulation to run all the ductwork. I will take you through how to do that, how to run ductwork in your attic. I've done it a couple times, and the way I do it, ends up working out really well, and I have no sweating issues. I'm located in the Midwest. The other systems that I've done that way are in the Midwest, so I can tell you if you're in the Midwest and you do it like this, you should have no problem. So when I get to that, I'll take you guys through how to do that. But until next time, we'll catch you on the next video.